Hello and welcome to Ball Over Passion. My name is Karan, and we're covering the Arsenal versus Norwich game, or Norwich versus Arsenal. Away again, Carrow Road. Let's see if it goes ahead first of all. And first of all, Merry Christmas, people, and let's introduce both of our guests, our panelists today. It's George and Willow today. So how are we doing, boys?
All
I'm
good, bro.
I'm
All good.
wonderful, mate. You know what? I love Christmas. Christmas is probably my favorite holiday. I like get into the spirit, and the biggest thing is I'm an uncultured swine, so I just found out that some people freaking celebrate Christmas on the 24th. So
Yeah.
when I had my message, big up all the people in the chat, a Merry Christmas, plenty of what Huss, and I think what we're doing is kind of cool because I think we're one of the few Boxing Days fixtures that are going to go ahead, right? Because I think Watford's got called off. Who knows is what's going to happen? And man, I'm excited because Norwich seemed depleted, and like you said, we don't know if we could have a game. We'll have to find out, I guess,
We'll
in
have
a
to
couple
find
days.
out.
But we're here. BoP will bring you the news. We'll bring you a little Christmas present. It won't be too long, short and sweet. Here for a good time, not a long time, and all that jazz. So, yeah, mate, I'm ready to get into it.
Willow, how you doing, brother?
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. I'm excited for the game also. I was a bit nervous actually about the game beforehand, but now seeing how depleted Norwich are, I'm a lot more confident that we can easily get the win. And I really hope the game does go ahead because I just want to keep that momentum going right now. I want to keep it rolling, baby.
All right, good. So let's just get into it quickly. First of all, I mean, I'm pretty sure I know where my thinking is on this, but do you guys think it's going to go ahead?
I think so because for me, a lot of it's injury with them. I know he had mentioned COVID in terms of coming in, but I think it's like a similar with the Everton situation where they still had to really field players until it got really, really bad. Like I could imagine maybe in a week if their squad gains like another 6 or 7, cases, then you start thinking, okay, that's too much on a load. But a lot of them have to be injuries. You know what I mean? Like Grant Hanley is out still. I mean, he doesn't need surgery, but that's their captain. He's out. Kabak is coming back in and Milo Rashika and Norman, for me, they're best players, alongside Gilmore and maybe Solis. And so a lot of their best players are still kind of out. And that for me bodes well for us, especially with Dean Smith, because for me they've been really resurgent. They've absolutely done a lot better since Dean Smith's come in, way more compact, and they've used Carrow Road really to galvanize them. It's actually become really good. They still haven't won, granted. I mean, this is all a little bit hyperbole because they haven't really got a result, even with Dean Smith back. Their best, kind of managerial bounce resulted in just good play. But it's worth it because I don't know if Willow, if you guys share the same thing. I'm more nervous about Norwich, even with injuries considered. But I was more nervous of this game than I was Wolves, just purely from our form between home and away, and the fact that we haven't won 2 on the bounce away. Despite some of these things, it's a worthy thing to consider. So yeah, along with all these injuries, I'm feeling a very festive period. I think it'll go through. I'm not really thinking that it's going to get called off, particularly at this point, right, lads? Like it's a day off. They'd have to have something crazy, like 5 or 6 positive cases that pop up. And they're 48-hour tests, right, lads? So like they should have had it now. They would have known. For me, it would have been called off earliest tomorrow morning. You don't see anything, it's probably a go ahead.
I don't know.
Willow, do you think I'll go ahead?
I don't know because I know George says that before 48 hours, but they've called games off like what 4 hours before the game's kicked off, like, and they've done.
No, I mean the PCR test, though, so they must have known.
Yeah,
I know, but even like
the 4 hours that they say.
The Tottenham Leicester one got called off a couple of hours beforehand. It was ridiculous. I don't know if it'll go ahead. You never know with the Premier League. It's a flip of the coin. I think to be fair, I think they're being a lot stricter of what they have been, aren't they? They're making it now like you really, unless you, what is it? You have to have like 13 players you can field. Is it 13 outfield players?
Yes.
And a goalkeeper. Yeah, minimum. And they've got that. So as George said, I think it would have to be something quite catastrophic to actually call off the game so far. So I think we're looking good. Apart from us with Tomiyasu, Tomiyasu's the only real person we're going to miss, and that's it.
We're and also, who's back too now in training? Ainsley. So
I don't know if he plays right back though. I don't.
He was in right back in the training edit. Maybe that's the next phase of discussion, just naturally as we go through. Because lads, what Cedric did, it was so bad. Regardless of what you may feel on feasibility, is he here long term, and all those soft factors, which are valid. We've said them in the past. There's been reasons why we don't think he's in the squad. I think Cedric is so bad, that Cedric has played so poorly, that it forces him into a decision. Like, I don't know about you guys, but when I was watching back the rewatch on the game, you can see Arteta visibly upset, like, every time Cedric touches the ball, and it's a problem, lads. Like, the Ben White chance, like, Cedric is halfway up the field. Like, it's not as though, look, he's got some good quality on the ball in terms of his crosses. I will admit, they have been fairly quality on the ball, but off the ball, it's been tragic. And you can see that he's coaching him through the entirety of the game. And I'll be honest, lads, I think it's simply a case of for me, I would use him. He's in the squad. You're paying his wages. He's in contention. As long as he's not doing anything off the pitch from a culture perspective and he's still performing, then there's no reason for me not to see him. And in fact, I'd be upset because he's in the training picks. He's at right back and, he's there fit and available in the squad. And I think Cedric is just so poor. We can't be doing that, despite Norwich being very depleted, by the way. But I must say, Cantwell is probably going to start. He's probably their biggest threat, and he starts at left wing. So the right-hand side, again, is going to be important. Look, Norwich always attack down the left. They're more potent down the left. And so for me, it's an important decision who starts there. Like, it's not just a matter of, culture perspective at this point. It actually, their only threat comes through the left. Gilmore receives deep. He's on the left. He cuts back in and releases the left wing. That is their function of attack. And so you cut that out, you make it a very easy night. So yeah, I'm hopeful, and I actually do think, I don't know what you lads think, but I actually think Ainsley comes right back in just because of how poor Cedric has been.
I mean, the main thing for me was, if you watched that, because I didn't watch the Sunderland game back, I just couldn't. You guys know my detest for this competition, but it was just it felt like it was with Arteta and Cedric, it kind of felt like what he was doing with Pepe against Norwich. Like, it sort of felt like he was constantly shouting at him, like, get on the ball or run back or make the run. And I mean, obviously the actual deficiencies are different, as in with Pepe, it was his first touch and his movement that was off, and Cedric was just, not defending very well. My thing is if Ainsley is available, I agree with George. If he is available, then he has to come in. I think it depends. If obviously if Callum is available, I don't think he is.
No, I don't.
You're muted, George. You're muted, George.
Sorry, no, he's out. We know that.
That's what I'm saying. He's exactly. So this is the thing. So if there's no Callum and there's no Tommy, then I would have Ainsley there. Another option is maybe Nuno, if you want to play that way.
Nuno is out as well.
So this is the thing. Nuno is out as well. So everything points to just put Ainsley there and let him do a job. So for me, it's just no, it's fine. I want to just segue this into, before get from Willow's opinion on the Cedric versus Ainsley situation, and then we'll go into predicted lineups. All right. So Willow, what do you think about Ainsley?
I don't know. I don't know if he starts just because of how he's been. I'm actually opting for not Cedric or Ainsley. I think Ben White could maybe go right back, and you see Rob Holding come in. If we're playing a 4-2-3-1, I think you could see that happen. So I think that's something to consider. It's rather Ainsley there, but with Ainsley and his antics and how everything's going on, again, it looks like, you've seen more transfer speculation. Roma apparently interested. So is he going to be in? But as George said, he was in the training pictures up right back. So it does look likely that he's going to start right back. But for me, I wouldn't be having to debate Cedric v Ainsley. My debate would be Cedric versus Ben White at right back. But Ainsley, I would also go with Ainsley, but I think Ben White there is also a shout. I'd do that before I go with Cedric. Unless you're playing 4-3-3, where, okay, maybe you do play Cedric. I definitely wouldn't be playing Cedric in the 4-2-3-1.
My issue is messing any kind of central partnerships. And when you mess with the spine like that, because what you lose with also Ben going out wide is you lose a major part of our progression. And, with Ainsley, really what you're looking for is 1v1 stand-up tackling and just looking to lock down that wing. And, of course, he does provide a much better overlap than Cedric. And, in fact, I would argue at right back, It's what fans have been calling, and you're going to see a much more fluid aspect of pushing Saka inside. You don't get the necessity for Odegaard to really do that out, and he will play well. Like what Ainsley does is he solves a lot of that right-hand side issues that we've had in terms of allowing both Odegaard and Saka in that space, right? So when Odegaard drops in and he can help with progression, which can happen, and with Ben, if he's at right back, we wouldn't get that, by the way. You have to trust Rob to take it out, and I don't. I don't trust Rob taking it out. So you're almost hurting yourself in two ways. In a double-edged sword, you're losing a lot of your progression, but you're also losing the 1v1 because I do think that Ben can do a bit better job of going into tackles 1v1, especially in isolation. I do find that he is better arriving at that space than he is when he stood up 1v1. So you lose it both ways for me.
I think,
go on.
I was just going to say quickly, if Ainsley is to play right back, I'm just going to say this now. I think we'll see one of Saka's best performances this year. Literally,
even Odegaard.
I generally think if Ainsley's at right back, I think Saka at least bags one. I think he'll have an exceptional performance if Ainsley's there. He's going to get so much more space.
And we also don't pass wide to progress, guys. Like, I mean, even Tomiyasu made it a point in terms of the pressure pass, but like just factually, we don't progress wide like that. Like we don't go from our center backs to our full backs. We don't do that. That would encourage a U-shaped passing for me. But in addition to that, it's much more the defense issues that I'm really having a struggle with. I mean, in possession, I feel we just have more quality, period. That whether you do put Rob, look, I do put a lot of crap on Rob, but we have enough quality in that middle of the park to progress. That's not something I'm terribly worried about. It's much more the defense in there. And when you put Ben in a position for me at right back, he can make no mistake, he can do it, but he's worse in that area. Rob also isn't great 1v1, and with Cantwell dropping in between that space, that's their biggest threat, right? Like that left half space for them or our right-hand side is the biggest threat. And for me, ultimately, Ainsley fixes the 1v1 threat in that aspect, but will give better games, like you said, Willow, to Saka, Odegaard. And I think Odegaard can drop in, which is his natural inclination. Like, that overlap, I think, is going to be amazing. Like, I really see us spamming that. If Ainsley play, Ainsley will overlap, Ode will drop in, and Saka will go inside. I see that. And as much as I give crap to Odegaard, I think in that case, we're going to see Odegaard's best game. If we were to have something like that.
What we'll see, and I'm going to do my lineup after the end of this. What we'll see is my problem with Ben White at right back is instead of having him, and as George did allude to this, instead of having Ben White actually take the ball and arrive in the center of the midfield to pop it off, he's going to be wide. And that will lead him to just laying off the ball back into central areas, for example, to an Odegaard, or if it's holding. You're taking away the one of our main ball carriers in the first or second phase of play, and giving it to Rob. I don't know if anyone remembers the Tommy interview about why
the
White doesn't pass to him.
Saying earlier.
The point is passing to your fullback is sort of like evading the challenge. You're trying to just get the ball to safety, and if it does need to go out of play, it goes out of play. But if you're taking on the challenge, you try to break the lines either with passing or by carrying the ball. And if you're giving that to holding, I don't feel like that's more important to me. If you're to have your ball carrier being the centre back instead of your right back. In terms of the Odegaard point, I really feel that if Ainsley is to overlap, you will have Odegaard coming up to the halfway line in that right half space, collecting the ball and having runners. You'll have Saka coming inside and you'll have Ainsley going on the outside, which means they can isolate their left back and try to pull men out of position, i.e. the left centre back or the left back, and this can lead to off the ball runs, rotations, and then eventually.
I think it gives him just more space to operate. Like fundamentally, what it does, and when you've got McLean, who's going to be their midfield, and you've got Sorensen and you've got Gilmore, that's their midfield three. It actually, and for me also, will open up space to Martinelli.
Yes, correct.
Odegaard drop in, which is what he naturally does. And that's more of what he wants to do because he doesn't want to be in the thick of the action. And when
It,
you've
gi-
got
it
runners
gives
either side, you've got Ainsley bombing on, Saka's a ball to feet option, but then you got Martinelli both sides. You give him multiple options instead of telegraphing your pass. And I definitely see that right hand side unclogged becomes.
I really do see a throwback to our FA Cup build up.
But switch the dynamic.
Switch. Yep,
Yeah.
the right to left switch to try and unlock a Gabby or even a Lacazette if he's drifting to left. I do see us going heavy on the right because I do feel like even though Aaron's does have good recovery pace, he's there to be exploited. I think he's someone that you can really get at defensively because of the amount he wants to bomb up the field. And I don't feel like he has that discipline in terms of defensive duels, as well as being able to have good awareness in his recovery runs as well.
Look, their entire backline, mate, it's poor. Like, I mean,
Yes.
Max Aarons struggles marking runners and blindside runners. It's his biggest weakness. Who's there on that side? Martinelli. Think he'll have a great game. Who's on the left? Brandon Williams, who struggles marking because he's more of an inverted fullback, right? Like he's a right footer on the left. And so what he's going to have trouble with is that dynamic of having an overlapping option. I think you make life very easy for Brandon Williams to cover the inside. So what I mean by that, if we were to have an inverted fullback that just underlaps, you're basically underlapping to Brandon Williams' strong foot. That's another thing. And so what you do want is an overlapping option. You do want an Ainsley on the outside so that he's caught between two minds. Do I stick or twist? Because if I stick, I leave Ainsley on the outside who has freedom of pass and quality to find the cross in the middle. Or if I meet Ainsley, I leave Bukayo the option inside to basically go 1v1 against Gibson, which is never a good idea. And, and if you leave that and you give Odegaard space and time, you're like, okay, so then in between Kabak, who's a rash center back who likes to go to ground very easily, and Max Aarons, who has trouble tracking runners, you've got the threat on the outside. I really think it's going to be a very long night for Norwich. And I do believe that Oba is not in the squad.
He's not in the squad, I don't think. But let's just get to our lineups because there is one final point I want to talk about tactically, but lineups now. So I think for me, it's the same back five, but with Ainsley instead of Tommy. The midfield is the same and the front line is the same. I don't really see any major changes. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think I even though I like typically Emile away from home, and I like that dynamic, I think with Ainsley in that side, that opens up a large possibility for Odegaard, who's in form, by the way. Like
yes.
I don't think it's a problem doing that. So for me, I completely agree with that lineup, and I think saving Emile for Wolves is smart. It's smart tactically, and I think you could bring Emile back in the Wolves game. I do think that especially up top there, another option could be Eddie Nketiah, must say, just because he's in form. And of course, if Mikel wants him to stay, I see kind of the Emile Eddie change at that 60-minute mark. Like when you do, and you would almost flip the rotations, and that's going to be for Odegaard and Laka. And I'd see that switch for Wolves. So I would actually start those boys at home and then kind of switch the dynamics to have Odegaard and Laka come on as finishers in the last 40 minutes of that game. And so for now, let's start with Odegaard Lacazette, only because I feel that getting our foot on the ball and exploiting that back line is really important, particularly with their injuries. And there's not going to be a lot of pressure in midfield that really Odegaard and Laka could drive, whereas with Wolves, there will be. Neves is in a really good form. They've got runners there. Jose Sa is a very good keeper, but then we start getting into that preview, so I don't want to go too much. But we need much more runners in the Wolves game, despite it being at home, in my opinion. So yeah, I would like you, Curran. I keep the lineup for sure.
Will it?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Maitland-Niles in. I agree, but I would also say Smith Rowe. I'll try and save him for the Wolves game so he can start that. So I'd only really want to bring him on maybe in the last 20, maybe even if we're out of sight in that game.
Even, right?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Even if we're out of sight that game, maybe not even bring him on. So I agree. I think that's the team we go for. I think Odegaard, he's that kind of backboard in Lacazette. So yeah, I'd keep the same team apart from Maitland-Niles.
One final tactical point I'm going to make before we move on to fixture congestion and match predictions. is that I want people to watch and see if you can see the overloads on the right hand side for this game. I really do feel like it will be a very much a case where, as I was saying before, the FA Cup build up where we're looking to overload on the right and then move to the left, especially if in that left hand channel. If you're looking for runners, if you look for Bukayo either coming inside, Ainsley going outside, or they into switch. I do think there's going to be a lot of feature of different rotations that go on there. I can see like a Newcastle goal where there's just off the ball movement, people losing their man, and someone just getting in behind and hitting a great goal. So I really do think it's a game where we should be confident about, and I say that hesitantly because there's no confident games in the Premier League. You have to be humble and accept that anything can happen. So in terms of how confident we're talking about, how confident we are about Ainsley starting over Cedric or something, I'm not confident. I'm not confident about anything because I've seen this guy. There's something going on with Ainsley. I think maybe there's a January move on, or maybe he's just said, "Look, I don't want to be involved with it." So
I don't know, mate.
It's hard.
Look, I hear the concerns, but the same token, he did have an illness,
Yep.
and it was said around the time, which is a week and a half ago, by the way, and those were the games we would have said, why can't he come in? Prior to that, we're talking Everton, Man United, right? So in that point of potential, transition, and when we needed a Cedric and whatnot, it didn't make sense. Like, he's not ahead of Partey in midfield, and he's not ahead of Tommy. And so really there's not an opportunity there. And the fact he wasn't on the bench is because he was sick. Simple to that. Otherwise, he's been on the bench. So, for me, look, we could be wrong, and otherwise it's Cedric, but I just think Cedric's been so bad. I'm fairly confident. And, of course, the training edits always help. That's always very nice to see, especially him going right back.
Right. So I want to talk quickly about fixtures and how we feel about the upcoming fixtures. Because for me, A, how many will go ahead? And B, there's a lot of them. And the next, I would say, 2.5 months are going to be very much season defining for me. I do feel like we have a lot of very, very tricky games, especially. But the thing is, for me, I want to see, this is when our home form is going to come under test. A lot of these games are at home. For example, the one game that isn't the Liverpool games at home. I think we've got
Well,
Chelsea.
That's a two-legged one, right? So I think you've got City, Liverpool, then Spurs away, and then Burnley at home, or in between that, Liverpool away as well, and then Burnley.
Yeah. No, Liverpool at home.
Liverpool home's first. So you go City,
Liverpool
at home, and then Spurs, Liverpool away, and then Burnley at home.
Right. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of, especially up to about February. I think after February, it's something ridiculous that we've only got one more top 6 team in the rest of the season, or something ridiculous like that. So
yeah, just Liverpool after, and I think Chelsea.
No, it's United after February. I think the rest of it is
United has one. Yeah, they have a home. Yeah.
Yeah, we have United
top 6.
Yeah, so after February, it's
I see you. Look at that holiday cheer. Look at
that. After February, it's just Man United at home is the last top 6 team, or as Willow would like to say, top 8 team.
Yeah, Chelsea as well, because it's been relocated, isn't it? After the Club World Cup. So yeah,
this is the thing. So how are you guys feeling about the fixture congestion? Because this is going to be a massive thing about our European hopes. Is we don't have this fixture congestion. So how are you feeling about it?
Well, I expressed concern. I still am concerned. I think whenever you pile more than 2 or 3 top 6 clashes in the span of 2 weeks, it's never something to be confident on. But what I am happy about is, of the teams left in the Carabao Cup, Liverpool was my pick because of just AFCON purposes. And so, Salah, Mane, Naby Keita are all out, when they face us in the Carabao Cup. And Klopp does rate the competition more second rate in terms of how strong he goes. I don't think he does that against Arsenal. I'll be honest, it brings out something.
I think
start a strong lineup.
Especially after Anfield. Like, I feel like he's still bubbling over that.
Well, no, he'll start a strong lineup just because it's us. He never goes light against Arsenal, and but for me, they're a different team without their two forwards like that. They just factually are, and so I think between all of those, I would not have enjoyed a Spurs triple whammy, even though I do believe that we are far better.
I really hope Chelsea do it. I don't want to see him.
The emotional attachment to that game is far too much. I think Chelsea, you don't want to give them an opportunity to play into form, which is what you would be doing. And so, yeah, I would have preferred a Liverpool, but it's a valid concern. But everyone's dealing with it, mate. I don't know if I really want to spend too much time on it because it's something we kind of addressed last time. And at the same token, everyone's dealing with it, that are involved there between Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea, and us. So, common problem. It sucks, but we move. You know what I mean? And it's nice that they're hopefully looking basically to have Thomas Partey till the new year, right? Like it's like he's training, so he's here, and they're trying to push to basically have him for Wolves, which would be awesome. I would have loved to have him for City, but it is what it is.
It's massive to see Lokonga back as well. Saw him back in because Tavares pictured him, so it's massive to have him back and get him back to fitness as quick as possible because you never know how people are going to react to COVID. That's the thing. Some people take months, like Gabriel, to absolute months to get back to his best. Yeah. So it's really good to see Lokonga back in training.
And I think he was asymptomatic as well, bro. I remember reading that he was asymptomatic in Norwich, which also fits with his recovery, by the way. Like you have to be asymptomatic to do that. Otherwise, it would be more than 2 weeks. So, yeah, no, I'm with you, mate. Like that's huge. Having Lokonga back in terms, look, I don't think it stands us in great stead from a City perspective. Like, you know what I mean? Like Lokonga, Partey, that is a jump regardless of current form. But I think it's awesome that we have a Lokonga option in that period, because he's played a lot of games and he's had a good rest out. Like he's going to be okay, in terms of his readiness for the game.
Yeah. So just to round off, let's just talk predictions. So, George, you can go first, and Willow, and I'll go last because I think I'm having a bit of a...
Look, I think it's a very long night for Norwich, and I was concerned. I did say in previous streams I predicted Norwich to be a lot harder than Wolves, but they've been ravaged by injury right now. And Sorensen, McLean, and Gilmore midfield doesn't scare me. And their front line of Pookie, who's going to be, I don't know who's on the right. Sorry, my mind's blanking, but Cantwell as well. It doesn't really, really scare me. I think this is the best game for Tommy to miss. If Tommy was to miss a game, it would be against this squad and against this amount of injuries. So for me, with all that, I see a 3-0. I don't know if we go for the throats. I would love us to. In theory, this could be the 5-0 that I believe the team is edging to, but I just don't see us really go for it, only because we're going to keep in mind about the fixture list. So I think one of the issues is he's going to call off the press, and we are going to sit. People aren't going to like it, but it's going to be a very premeditated thing. You're not going to want to press the team for 90 minutes when you're playing 48 hours later. It's going to happen, in my opinion. I definitely see a very strong first half, try to kill the game, and then let's sit in, let's conserve energy because we play 48 hours later.
Well,
I think they'll be tight and compact. I think it'll just be a breakdown job, really, and just it's going to be, I think, heavy possession from us. I think they'll catch us on a break a few times, but I think we'll definitely keep a clean sheet. I think Aaron will make a couple good saves. I think Saka will score. I definitely think Saka's going to get on the score sheet. If Maitland-Niles plays especially, he's definitely getting on the score sheet. I think we probably break the deadlock for a corner as well. I feel like a corner FC Arsenal. I think we'll get a cheeky little header, maybe another Gabriel header.
Officially, the most goals and the least conceded. We just haven't. So
we've just been absolutely excellent from them. So I can easily see us scoring from a corner. And I just think it's going to be a game for Saka. I think Saka's going to really start to, because of his heating up more and more each time. So I think this is the time where he's actually going to start putting a lot of output in these next coming weeks.
Right. So, was there a score on there, Willow?
2-0.
There we go.
2-0.
Initially, before we went on, I said 3-1 to the boys. But
we've talked. We switched it. We've infiltrated with him. Look, he's smiling. He's feeling the holiday spirit. Papa Noel has infiltrated. Aaron's been a good boy. What's he gonna say?
I'm going 4-0 to the Arsenal. I thought for a second when Willis said 5-0, I was like, shall I go 5? No, I'll go 4.
Oh my
4-0.
I
see
get a
I see Gabriel header. I do see Gabriel header because I see Kabak being not great aerially at all. I do think there's a way there. Either we go front post or we go back post. Either way, just isolate Kabak and go for him. Saka, I think Martinelli keeps his form going, and maybe an Odegaard goal. So I think 4 is on the cards. The only Pookie is the only thing, and I don't really see him that big of a threat. So
no, for me it's Cantwell. That's the only magic.
No, but I'm talking about just pure output, like in terms of production. But in terms of like the best player is Cantwell. But in terms of like as a goal threat, the Pepe stands rejoice. I'm saying the word output. It's I do think it's Pookie. I think he does have a knack for getting a goal. So let's see, 4-0. And
Pookie's about as dangerous as my broom. Goal. So yeah, I don't fear about Pookie.
George, do your thing.
Sorry,
George, do your thing.
Do my thing. All right, boys. Look, it's a quick one. We heard you guys, from the last couple of months, so we're just going to go in and out. I just wanted to say before I do my usual, a big Merry Christmas to those that are celebrating. If not, Happy Holidays to you and your family. Keep it safe, keep it good, keep it lively. I hope everyone has a great one with their families and their misses. Everyone in the comments, thank you so much for joining us on this, Christmas Eve special. And if you celebrate today, Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas. I'm an uncultured swine. I found out about this very recently. So big thank you for you guys joining us. Kerr's got the alcohol out. We're ready to do some business, some hurt. And I hope Arsenal are too. And, that leads us to the ending of, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. You hit that bell for notifications so that when we do upload. Make sure to follow us at BoP Footy on Twitter. And we're going to keep with you on the festive period, lads. We've got Boxing Day, then we've got the 28th. So crammed in these 48 hours are a lot of previews, reviews. We hope you love the content. Make sure you share it with all those people. You can find me at GeorgeV_AFC. Willow, mate, where can they find you?
The one Willow, baby.
There we go. That's what we see. And Kerr, where can they find you?
You can find me at Current BOP. And before we do go, I'm just going to mention a couple of things. One, buddy, the TikTok. You forgot the TikTok. You always mention the TikTok. Follow the TikTok.
You know why? I know that we're approaching those 1K. We're hoping people can do it, and I'm fearful. I know I said I would do a TikTok. It's something I want to throw under the rug, but yeah.
So make sure you follow the TikTok. Everything's in the link in the description below. The next thing I'm going to mention is transfer season is coming, people, and we will be doing a space at some point about the ins and outs. I myself have produced a little something about my favorite central midfielder in this league. So if you do want to have a look at that, do check it out on the Twitter. But
yeah, and also, lads, make sure that you follow. Z's out for a little bit, but we wish him all the best. He's a little bit not under the weather. You can find him at PrivArsenal_Z, and of course, you can find Christina, who's going to be back soon, of course, at PureCKK. And yeah, lads, just a big Merry Christmas from all of us. We love that you guys tuned in. Thank you for joining us really quickly. It's going to be a short one, and we'll catch you hopefully after Arsenal 3, Norwich 0, just for the algorithm. But yeah, hope you guys all have a good one, and hopefully we celebrate a win, 2 wins on the bounce and away, and we move, and we've got a game short after.
Transfer season is coming, people, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye now.